from our 7 Tasmania studios. Your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. First tonight, Minister Madeleine Ogilvie has been forced to defend decisions in another portfolio after being caught in the cyber crossfire. The Racing Minister announcing a cash injection for the RSPCA to help police animal welfare in the state's troublesome racing industry.
Calls are growing for racing reform. Now the RSPCA has been given a $200,000 bone.
To improve animal welfare, particularly and specifically in racing.
The funds, a recommendation of last year's Monteith review, will fund tech upgrades and enable regulations improvements.
They're not high-cost projects, but in terms of impact, they're ones that will deliver an awful lot of benefit, not only to the animals and the community.
The welfare watchdog receives only $550,000 a year to police racing. The industry itself given more than $30 million from the state government.
That hasn't increased since 2017.
It's simply not enough, and it is a band-aid over a significant gaping wound at the moment that the government isn't addressing.
New racing legislation with broader powers for the RSPCA is expected by the end of this year. From an industry with many questions to a questionable request.
It's our understanding, certainly after the briefing yesterday, that there's no reason that any of us should stop talking about it.
A request sent to MPs to not do any further media on the data hack, still making headlines.
We were told there'd been verbal advice from national security agencies. There wasn't anything that we could see or access in writing.
It's my understanding that that letter from the Commissioner was about the security advice, and it is important that we follow that.
The Greens are calling for improvements to the Privacy Act, nearly 20 years old.
The cyber security environment has changed exponentially since then. We've got also completely different expectations of the community.
The learnings from this breach key into the future. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Anyone who has been affected by the breach can call 1800 567 567 between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. for advice and support. Bob Brown has declared the Tarkine Wars aren't over, despite losing a Supreme Court appeal today. Justice Alan Blow upheld Guy Barnett's decision to grant MMG a mining licence over a road leading to a section of the Rosebery Tailings Dam.
We're not for giving up on these forests by a long shot. In fact, the campaign's getting bigger. We're getting enormous feedback from all over this country that rainforest should be protected.
Current Resources Minister Felix Ellis has welcomed the decision. Another appeal by the Bob Brown Foundation is likely. Dozens of Tasmanian drivers have been hit with fines during a police crackdown over the Easter period. Since Thursday, more than 6,000 drug and alcohol tests were carried out, with 31 people caught drink driving. 40 drivers were detected with drugs in their system. Another 446 were fined for speeding. A 35-year-old man has been charged over an early morning crash at Gordon. It's alleged he threatened people at the scene before authorities arrived and he was taken into custody. Nobody was injured. Police have thanked the public for their assistance. Tasmania's only dedicated screen training business is shutting up shop after its funding agreement ran dry. Staff are now preparing to sell wide angles equipment in a garage sale after a failed 15-month mission to save the 20-year-old organisation.
It's a wrap for this film organisation. Wide Angle Tasmania has been left with no choice but to close its doors due to a lack of funding.
All of these sort of organisations have existed in other states in Australia and they've all closed down. We're actually the last ones currently operating.
Opened in 2003, the grassroots group has been upskilling local filmmakers through a number of courses.
For instance, how to construct a film or how to edit or how to shoot.
The closure will be a major loss for the state, with more than 100 films produced in its time. The organisation also connecting talent like Franz Doherty, who met a young composer for his short film while undertaking a directing course.
He used the music he composed for that as part of his example of work, and that got him to LA to work with Hollywood composers. And now Wide Angle's gone, those opportunities are gone, and I think that's really sad.
Wide Angle has been supported by a private, non-Tasmanian philanthropist since state and federal governments pulled their funding in 2016. That agreement now at its end.
I came over specifically from Melbourne to try to find the operational funding for the organisation, for which I regrettably wasn't successful.
The state government says Arts Tasmania funding programs are highly competitive and unfortunately, Wide Angle was unsuccessful in the latest round. The government now encouraging Wide Angle to contact Arts Tasmania to discuss its application for future rounds. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
It's smooth sailing with the construction of 2 new Spirit of Tasmania vessels. Animations of the ships were released today, with the vessels significantly larger than the current model. The modern design accommodating for an extra 400 passengers with 301 built-in cabins.
They'll still maintain their speeds that we do now, and with the new infrastructure already at Geelong and the new infrastructure we're putting in at Devonport, that'll make them much easier to service that route.
The project is running on time, with the first ship due for delivery early next year. The best of the season will be on show this weekend as the Launceston Horticultural Society marks its autumn show. Gardening groups are banding together for the event, hoping to grow interest in the gardening arts.
Putting his best blooms forward, for Noel, autumn's a special time of year.
You've got that quieter time to sort of reflect, if you can forget about the weeds.
He's one of the botany buffs bringing the best of the season to Evandale this weekend.
People can bring foliage, they can bring flowers, they can bring produce, and so all around the hall will be a promotion of autumn.
Previously a produce and chrysanthemum show, the autumn event is branching out.
We've got to look at other ways of promoting horticulture in the Launceston area.
From prodigious pumpkins to the tiniest of trees, it's shaping up to be a garden of earthly delights. Launceston's Bonsai Society is just one of the groups putting on a colourful show for plant lovers.
Autumn is always a good time to trees because we can get a lot of colour in the trees with our Chinese elms and our maples.
With up to 1,000 flora fans expected across the weekend, the show gives gardening groups a way to strut their stuff for Tasmanians.
Most people see a finished tree, not seeing one that's actually still being worked on, so I get to stand and work on trees and other club members do, and the people just find it fascinating.
For green thumbs looking for something out of the ordinary, specialist growers will be on site all weekend offering plants and advice you can't get anywhere else.
I'm really excited for this weekend. It'll be really good to see a lot of people come along and celebrate what autumn's all about.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
From local theatre to national shows, a Launceston performer is set for a long-awaited return to her home stage. The moment will be even brighter for Amber Flaherty because she'll be part of Draculas' first show in the state's north.
Amongst this blood-sucking, spooky spectacular is a Launceston local who ran away with the circus.
There was a point where I was like, wait, you can do this as a job? Like, why would you want to do anything else?
Amber Flaherty is one of the dancers in the travelling roadshow Draculas. She grew up performing in the Princess Theatre before pursuing her career overseas. Now she's resurrecting her hometown ties.
It's really amazing to be back here with such a renowned and epic show.
One reaching Launceston for the first time.
We have our Gold Coast venue and we get so many visitors from Tassie coming there, so we knew that Launceston and Hobart had to be on the map.
The stage show takes 3 days to set up, unleashing an exhibition with 4 decades of history.
Draculas has been going for over 40 years now. It's a family business, it's 3rd generation.
The show comes to life on Thursday night and tickets are still available, so you don't die wondering. After 3 nights in Launceston, Draculas travels to Hobart's Rest Point on April 28 and 29. A zombie zinger from the ceiling to the floor. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News. The Hobart Charges women's team is using its loss to Launceston as motivation to improve. Head coach Dwayne Davey is confident his players can win the next 2 games, especially with Paige Bradley back in the team.
I wasn't so sure at first, but Dwayne has a good way of convincing me. He definitely put in a lot of work to get me back.
It's a really good fit for us from a cultural perspective in terms of the impact that she had on the group last year with her leadership. To have that continuity in the guard space is really important.
The men's head coach is also disappointed with his team's result, but he says it's all part of the development stage as he looks to lift his young players. The Jack Jumpers have missed out on Tassie's Tanner Krebs. He's signed to play at Melbourne United alongside Launceston's Chris Golding. Krebs inked the 3-year deal after being let go by the Brisbane Bullets. A Superman dive has locked in the Mumbai Indians' first win in the IPL, courtesy of the Hobart Hurricanes' Tim David. Needing 2 runs off the last ball, David launched to the crease in the nick of time.
The tall man, up comes he comes, I think he's in. 2 tall players running like their lives depended on it.
Mumbai winning by 6 wickets over the Delhi Capitals. Riley Meredith took 2 wickets for Mumbai, including a scorcher, which knocked out the leg stump. Get the deep heat and strapping tape ready. 2 new teams are set to debut in the AFL Masters competition in the State South this weekend. St Virgil's and Claremont will join the title race for footballers over 35.
There's a bunch of guys that like to just sit at the bar, and now they're on the field and then go into the bar.
While the Old Scholars season will begin with a grand final rematch, despite losing their skipper in the off-season, Hutchins will be the hunted in 2023 after downing Dosa by 40 points in last year's decider.
We've had a great rivalry with Dosa over the last few years, and I'm really looking forward to the contest.
I feel like we're strong this year, but yeah, everyone's worked hard over the pre-season, so nothing's going to come easy.
Adding to the spectacle, they'll clash under lights on Friday at the TCA ground. And Kim, I've raided the op shops and I'm all decked out for Gather Round. I'm just missing one club and it's your West Coast. Do you have anything for me?
I wouldn't dare lend you something so precious, Tom. Enjoy your holidays and enjoy that footy.
Sure will.
Good evening. 22 was the state's top in Launceston today, Devonport 19, 18 in Burnie, Hobart 17. St Helens and Grove 19, Strawn 21 and 20 in Flinders Island. On the close-up shows, lots of low cloud banking up against eastern Tasmania. Further out, large parts of the country are cloud-free. However, a cloud band over the northwest of the continent is expected. Tomorrow, a high to the southeast of Tasmania extends into central areas of the state. East to northeasterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots, swells up to 2 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. Tomorrow's forecast now: Hobart, a possible shower, cloudy in Cygnet, New Norfolk 20. In the north, partly cloudy across Launceston and Devonport, a shower or 2 in Campbelltown. Burnie tomorrow, partly cloudy, sunny in Strawn, Smithton 21 and partly cloudy. St Helens and Fingal, showers are easing and 17 in Swansea. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now. Friday, fine apart from light showers about the east and northwest. Saturday, light showers about the northeast and northwest. Showers developing in the afternoon elsewhere. And Sunday, rain contracting to the northeast during the afternoon. Capital cities 25 and showers increasing in Perth tomorrow. 21 in Adelaide and showers in Sydney. And currently Hobart showers and 15, Launceston cloudy and 18 and Devonport partly cloudy and 13. And it definitely felt more like a spring day today rather than an autumn one. Kim?
And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good night.